Hello, my name is Kristin Hildabrand, Warren County Extension Agent for Horticulture. This morning we're out in the outdoors. We're talking about some things to consider when you're starting seeds at home for the gardening season. And a couple of things that you need to look at as far as starting seeds is that you first want to make sure that you've got some good seed packets at home. I know right now for March we're talking about the spring garden, so those would be crops that like the cooler air temperatures here in Kentucky. So think about your broccolis, your lettuces, cabbage, things like that like the cooler air temperatures. So right now we would want to be starting those indoors to make sure that we get a start to the regular gardening season. Make sure that you've got certified seed as you're starting with, so you can buy that at any local garden center here that's available in Kentucky. Whenever you're looking at different varieties of seeds as far as vegetables or even flowers are concerned, make sure that they will grow here in Kentucky. We have a list of all the different varieties that will do well here in Kentucky. So it's called ID 133, regular vegetable cultivars that do well here in Kentucky. So one of the other things that you want to consider, not just with your seed, but also is with your seed starting mix. I know here that we've got a great example of some seed starting or germination mix that I like to call it. It's very fine and it's got some other soulless media particles, so it's not really actually soil. There's different components that are mixed in here. We've got some white perlite here that helps with the drainage. We've also got some peat moss, and we've also got some vermiculite to also help with the drainage. You just want to make sure that whenever you're starting your seeds, you want to make sure it's very fine, so that way those seeds can actually penetrate through that actual seed starting. Once you actually get those started, you're probably thinking, okay, what do I need to do with my soil media first? Well, first you would want to go ahead and actually moisten this. You don't want it sopping wet, so anything the consistency of a damp wrung out sponge, so that way whenever you do transfer your seeds over into the seed starting mix, that they'll actually already be moistened for you so that they will actually germinate. So there's an example of some of the soilless media. I know a lot of times we come in contact at the garden centers about different containers that you can use for starting seeds. Here you can see we have a general seed starting. This is going to be a lot as far as deeper for a root system. So if you're talking about sunflowers, this would be a great container for starting seeds. And then another example that we have is a seed starting mix that's also great for pellets. So most of the time with those pellets, you just moisten them with water before you actually put in your seeds, and then that way you've got an actual little pelletized part to actually transplant into your garden. So there's a couple of different information. So whenever you go to transferring or starting your seeds, make sure that you always don't plant it too deeply. I know a lot of times people will think, okay, how deeply should I plant those? You can always look at the plant label or the seed package that you've got for how deeply that seed needs to go down. For something that's a lot larger in size as far as the seed, it's got a lot of food storage to it, so it can be planted a lot deeper. And then for some of the smaller seeded type crops like your cabbages and broccolis, you can just lightly put it on the top there. So here's a couple of examples of some things. Now, one of the other things I do want to talk about, and some of you all might not have considered this, is to make sure that you have the right lighting. I know a lot of times people will actually put their seeds in the windowsill, and the best way to know as far as like what light that you need is just to buy a fluorescent light. You can use just the regular shop lights like we have here, or you can buy a more expensive type of light, which is actually a grow light. This one, I've used a bulb that's actually a warm and a cool, so that way it gives the starting seedlings a full spectrum of the light that they need. You can also make sure with your lighting that they need to have at least 16 hours of light. So you can actually put this with a timer, so that way it automatically kicks on and off for you, so that way you've got your lighting and also 8 hours of darkness as well. So what we would do is we would just take the actual tray and put it underneath here. The other thing that you want to consider with your lights is also that it needs to just be right above your actual tray. So, and then as they grow, you can raise it and lower it according to the actual chains here. So these are just a couple of things you want to consider when you're starting seeds at home. If you would like to have any other information, at the Cooperative Extension Service, we have two guides that would be very beneficial. One is our home vegetable gardening guide, which is our ID 128. It's got all the planting dates and things like that that you need in order to start and kick off your spring gardening season.